Welcome to Gallant Conversations. Gallant is a business-to-business consultancy specializing in industrial innovation.
We drive growth for our clients through strategies and insights in brand management and strategic communications.
If you're in an industry focused on progress at the macro level, we're here to facilitate a conversation, starting now.
All right, so we have a first episode of Gallant Conversations. We were just, trying this out, but I have the privilege to work with and be here right now with Brandy and James, principal of Gallant Culture. I guess just let's get into it. And how long have you been doing Gallant? How long is
Doing Gallant?
Yeah. So how did Gallant come to be? And
like the whole thing. I'm gonna give you the whole thing.
Oh man,
I know.
Do we want that though? I don't know.
Yes, actually, I'm gonna do it because it's all intertwined. I wanted to be Andy Warhol. I thought he was the most amazing cultural anthropologist. I thought he was a good artist. I thought he was an incredible cultural anthropologist, just incredible. And I was always fascinated by the way different groups communicated and different subcultures and how those things worked. And I liked advertising and all of this sort of thing. And I needed a job when I was in college. And so I went to work at Texaco Natural Gas and worked in their ad department and learned about how not to launch a global brand and wrote a thesis on it and graduated and worked there for a little while. My boss at Texaco moved to what was then Nalco Exxon. I joined her there and then ended up this is one of my favorite things about my career. I was the youngest global manager in the 100-year-old history of a company. Like, they wouldn't promote people if they were under 30, and I was so thrilled to have that job. It was just so much fun.
How do you think you got that?
I worked my ass off. What do you mean?
All right, I'm just
So I think the whole thing was I listened a lot and I saw a lot of connection. So one thing that comms people do is they're able to move a little bit more fluidly in organizations. And so early on, I showed the benefit of getting us involved at the earliest stages. This was a chemical company, so like when they were starting to develop a molecule, so before it would ever go into commercialization, our whole thing was bring me in, invite me to the meeting, and we can start talking about the benefits of this molecular enhancement or whatever it is early on. And so the scientists that were involved in bending these molecules or whatever were using the same language. So my whole thing was, okay, we'll create the narrative, we'll give it to the people that are the most vested in it early on, and 2 years before it would ever see the light of day from a commercial perspective, people were already buzzing about it. And so we had these spokespeople that straight out of the gate knew how to talk about it. There was a name. It may have even we may have even done all the pre-registration. There was a concept. The benefits were it was all calibrated before it ever even happened. And then what was really cool about that is because in oil and gas companies and in large industrial enterprises, sometimes things are very siloed. Well, because I had responsibility of upstream and downstream, I knew what was going on in upstream and then could say, hey, so-and-so is working on something kind of similar. Maybe y'all, let's go have lunch. And so I felt like it was a benefit of being able to kind of, again, navigate the enterprise. And
well, one thing that you said in terms of, what helped elevate you to get that promotion, that unheard of bit, right, where before 30 you got it, it's something that you've instilled in everybody here at Gallant, which is listening with a sense of curiosity, right? Like, you are a major proponent in that, and it's, it's something that kind of, I don't want to say manifests, but it's ingrained in our DNA thanks to you and your leadership. So
See, and I'm going to take you to task on that.
Go for
I
it.
don't think that I appreciate that. I think what I do is I value the curiosity that you all bring to the table, but I specifically wanted to surround myself with other curious people. So I didn't make you more curious, I just exalted your curiosity.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Okay, so you had the Nalco bit and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
let's get a little bit more. And again, this is the first episode of us doing it and all that stuff. So,
So it
we
was
wanna-
like,
we
it was
wanna-
Nalco, and then I went to CGG Veritas and started their PR stuff, and then I was recruited to Chenier. That was a really interesting thing because it taught me a lot about the importance of culture. I had so much admiration for my boss, Meg Gentle, and Sharif Suki. They were they are incredible, brilliant visionaries. And I did not fit. I personally did not fit in the culture at Chenier, and I knew because I'm not a micromanager. I cannot be micromanaged. Do I micromanage you? Hell no. Like, do I micromanage Casey? Absolutely not. Like that. So it just wasn't the right cultural fit, and so I had this idea of I was frustrated, I guess, because I felt like the oil and gas industry got a bad rap, specifically the people in the industry. And I thought, oh my gosh, could we create something that enabled like a cross-pollination? So what we're seeing now in geothermal and in oil and gas is something that I really, really wanted to see in 2008. So I started an online social network for people in the global oil and gas industry that also had a place for people in solar. That we brought a car that drove from Argentina through Canada on solar power, and it was called the Power of One, X of One. So like he was an Energy People Connect member. It was just really cool, and we would do all these events and stuff.
Yeah, that's another podcast episode because there was this at the Ion. The Ion is like the innovation hub of the city of Houston, and that's where we're at. That's where we're based out of. They're working on a similar campaign, or they were. I don't know where the status is on it, where they had some sort of solar powered car and stuff like that going all across, doing a cross country trip and all that stuff. So, all right. So Energy People Connect, helping bridge people together and all that good stuff.
The first global.
And then that turned into Gallant, and it's.
Yeah. So we bootstrapped Energy People with. I was fortunate. I had clients that were former employers. Some of them are still our clients today. I realized that I was interested not just in energy, but also in deep tech and other industrial components. So, and I also felt like I wanted a name that was a beacon of the type of culture we wanted to develop. So that's how.
Yeah, let's
Gallant.
define that name, because first off, whenever our security and stuff like that, it's like,
Why do they say gallant? What is that?
I don't know.
Because it's gallant.
So define gallant for me really quick.
So the word gallant, it has a certain level of stewardship to it and protectiveness. Like we protect and steward.
Like a gallant knight.
Yes, it is. It's entirely a gallant knight, but there's a playfulness to it.
Maybe we should, because I've been wanting some shirts, like some merch. Maybe we have like a little knight and then like a gallant thing. Is that a bad idea?
No, I like knights.
Right.
I like knights.
So maybe, okay. Casey, don't hate us. But.
They're cool. They're great. Now people are running around like dubbing it, like creating knighthoods. It's very easy to do that, and I will say that we did get dubbed by Tim McClure. We're gallanteers. I always thought of us as gallantines, but we're gallanteers.
So
that was cool.
Don't mess with Texas.
Yeah,
campaign.
he wrote the "Don't Mess with Texas" campaign, and he calls us the
Gallanteers.
Gallanteers. So I want a shirt that says I'm a gallanteer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's work that in. We'll put it in the hopper. Okay. So that's kind of like an origin story of you and Gallant. And my time here, it's been roughly 4 years, and it's been incredible.
Yeah, you didn't expect to
No, I
be
really
running
didn't.
an ad agency, did you, James?
No, not at all. But you opened up that opportunity, and it's been great. And I think that kind of transfers over to why I value the firm and the agency, and kind of how this whole Gallant Conversation idea came to be. Which is, we have a bunch of interesting people that we interface with on a daily basis, very much in the communications realm, where you kind of mentioned, you have that fluid kind of way in which you can navigate an organization. I think also that's another thing that I think we maybe share in terms of like all the people that we interface with on a daily basis. And it's just, you have all these interesting stories, all these interesting people, walks of life, incredible technologies, game-changing, world-changing. So, it's now an opportunity or a medium to kind of highlight some of that cool stuff and the stories behind these founder CEOs and these teams, and kind of highlight the cool technology that they're developing out, right? So,
Well, and so it's not just the technology. I think that the technology itself is usually pretty fascinating. I always think that it's interesting to hear what their impetus is, and just sort of how they arrived at it, and then kind of what analogies they use to describe things. I mean, we were talking today about GA drilling and how some of the things with anchorbit, it's like a caterpillar,
like an inchworm,
yeah,
and
like
all
an
that stuff.
inchworm, yeah.
And then so that when you were on the call and we were talking about that, I started looking, okay, so we're there having an event and stuff like that. You might hate it, but I started leveraging AI and all that stuff too to kind of come up with some thoughts on that. But you can have branded merchandise handed out at trade shows, and you can have things resembling the product, both. I don't know.
No. So yes, so
like
we're
a
on the same
expandable
wavelength.
line,
We're on the same
ruler.
wavelength. They don't do but we're on the same wavelength. The thing that I wanted, remember, I said something like, "Oh, just a second, let me," because I kind of thought we were kind of riffing the same way. I want to know, is that a more efficient way of moving? Can an inchworm move faster than a normal caterpillar? I want to know that. We need to know that, because I have a video that I took. I'm always taking videos of bugs, but I took a video of this. They're not bagworms, but it's like a silkworm that lives in oak tree, and that thing was just like. I'll find it. And,
It's pretty wild.
yeah, I mean, it was just moving so fast, and it was not doing that. It wasn't pulling, it wasn't doing that. So
Yeah. Okay, so we'll riff on that a little bit offline and all that stuff after this. But so, okay, Gallant Conversations. You want to elaborate on that a little bit and kind of what we're looking to aim
So
to achieve?
we manifested this studio, and when I say we manifested it, I said, "Oh, let's have a podcast studio," and then you killed it and built it
Well, there's still some
yourself.
work. There's still some work to
I
be
mean,
done,
it's
but-
like poof. So that was incredible. So thank you. The thing that I think is interesting is that talking to the mic.
Yeah, we got to remember that. This is the first episode,
thing
so-
that I think is interesting is that, and this is something I've always told executives, and I haven't always necessarily listened to my own advice. You have to know whether or not, story of my life. You have to know whether or not you're comfortable in a particular medium. So whenever during COVID, I was like, I want to do a YouTube channel, and I want to, and I did not enjoy it. This is fun because it's a conversation I really like, but there's no way for me to know if I like it without trying it. And it's the same thing with any sort of communications vehicle or medium. You don't know whether or not it is going to generate an authentic experience for you until you try it. So I see people out there going, I need to post this much on LinkedIn, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. And there's a certain minimum threshold. And some of my clients who don't want to do it, I'm talking to you. But we do have a luxury of pairing a medium with the message that makes the most sense for the client in a way that not only delivers, eyeballs or does all of the fabulous metrics that we want to see in a great campaign, but also makes it fun for the client. And I think that's really, really important. They have to try it once or twice, see if they like it, and if they like it, double down on it, because if they don't, it's not going to come across well.
Yeah, and I think kind of some of this, like, we were thinking about doing something with some video content and all that stuff, but, what is it? One of our clients in particular was really getting involved in wanting and had an interest in podcasts and doing his own podcasts. And it's also kind of an interesting, in my mind, interesting little bit to challenge, task to challenge, which is, the B2B space, industrial innovation space, right? Because you have a bunch of influencers out there, as you're mentioning, and stuff like that, talking about consumer-based products. They're on TikTok, Instagram, things that we buy and see every day. But like what we're highlighting, and I think what we're looking to achieve here, is highlighting some of the stories that maybe aren't told and sharing those stories and those things that may not otherwise get the proper airtime or the proper recognition or awareness.
Well, and I think too, so here's another thing. I have never met an innovator, like an innovative engineer, chemist, other, whatever, fill in the blank, scientist that didn't have something else cool going on. So I think that the very fantastic way to surround yourself with fascinating people is to surround yourself with people that are doing fascinating things. And then you see, oh my gosh, wow, this person is building this incredible piece of deep tech equipment and is a beekeeper, and and the CEO of the same company is a port. Well, he does like port. He makes port, and he's a distiller, and and I can go on and on and on and on about these things, and that's one thing that I really like. Like, that's just an extra added benefit that I think is.
I think that's what we need to do too. Is just next time Tomas is around, we need to have a little bee tasting and stuff like that.
You want to eat bees?
No, not bee tasting.
Honey tasting.
Honey tasting.
He
like, yeah. We can just have them all lined up, and
because he makes different ones. Like we have. I mean, actually, I'm due for some more because we've eaten almost all of it.
Yeah. So, all right. So, all right. Industrial innovation. That's that's what our bread and butter. That's what we focus on at the agency, and that's what we want to highlight with this conversation, this Gallant Conversation.
But not just industrial innovation, right? Culture, right? That's a big deal because you're spending, 10, however many, 12, however many hours a day with these people that you're collaborating with.
Learning about a lot of different stuff.
How do you create a culture that's meaningful and fun and
sorry to interrupt, but both remotely and in person all around the world, right?
Yeah, it's because our team is really very much all around the world.
And our clients are too. So, being able to find a way in which you can create that. God, I had something I was going to say, but then I blanked on it. I think it was because I interrupted you.
I was talking about interrupting. We have a problem in our household about it and around it. And one of my clients and dear friends was talking to me about something. And of course, whatever he was saying, I don't interrupt because I'm like trying to push forward I just get really excited, right? And so he's like, well, and so we were talking about this idea and blah, 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 blah. And I said, oh, I've got an idea too. And he goes, oh, well, we'll talk about that. Oh, and then he went on. And I thought, my gosh, that is the most elegant, gracious way to acknowledge someone, to say, I've heard you and I'm going to continue. And when I'm done, we're going to continue this conversation. And I thought it was such a perfect communications tool. Just like imagine me interrupting you.
Well, we'll touch on that.
Yeah.
And
No. So he's the way he said it was, there was an implicit graciousness, and it was more like, we'll talk about that. Like it was very much like, let's do that. You know how so.
And that, okay, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but, just to kind of round this out, what's in store, right, for the rest of these conversations and episodes coming up, right? So
I'm going to be dressing up like an alien.
Cool.
I think.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. What else?
We'll have some cool stuff in the backdrop maybe in the future. I don't know. We'll talk a little bit about marketing and communications. And
That's
some
a good
of our
idea.
best practices.
Yeah, we should do that.
We'll talk a little bit maybe about AI and some of the tools that we leverage.
Obsessed.
I know. We'll bring on some of our clients and kind of to that point that we were mentioning earlier, kind of see what they're up to, cool news and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, like that's kind of what we have in store, right?
I mean, I'm not committing to this yet.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's very much like we've got to make sure
Keep it loose.
it's fun.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
what else is there to share? Is that about it for episode 1? And we'll just see how things go.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So, this is Brandy and James, and until next time, if there is a next time. I don't know.
There is a next time because we have like 3 more already done.
I don't know. We're not supposed to say that, Brandy. This is the first one, so we have others. Yeah, it's fine. It's raw. We're cool. It's fine. Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
Well, no. Until next time, I guess, right?
Yep. Thanks for joining this conversation with Gallant.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and gained meaningful insight.
If you find this entertaining or helpful, subscribe and leave us a review.
And don't forget to share this conversation with your network.
For more resources and to stay updated with Gallant Insights and our amazing client portfolio companies, visit gallantculture.com.
Join us next time as we continue to explore perspectives within the industrial innovation space propelling us forward.
Until then, we ask you to stay thoughtful and curious.